Coming up today, the ruling Saenuri Party takes steps to end its internal feud over the return of lawmakers who defected from the party prior to the general election. South Korea's intelligence agency says the Islamic State militant group has designated US military bases here and South Korean citizens as targets for attacks. Plus, the first opinion polls on the EU referendum since the murder of MP Joe Cox suggest the Remain campaign is pulling back into the lead. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello and welcome. It's 6 a.m. on Monday, June 20th here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom and you're tuned in to our early morning edition of Arirang News. Our top story this morning, a senior member of Korea's ruling Saenuri Party has ended his boycott of party affairs in an effort to mend ties with the party leadership. His decision could help extinguish a factional feud that was reignited by a committee's decision to reinstate a handful of lawmakers who jumped ship before April's general election. Our Kim Min-ji starts us off.
The chairman of the ruling Saenuri Party's Innovation Committee said Sunday he will return to his post and fulfill his duties. Kim Hee-ok had boycotted party affairs in recent days and was said to be considering whether to step down after the committee decided to accept a handful of former lawmakers back into the party despite his opposition. A party spokesperson said Kim made the decision for the sake of party unity and reform, and that a new secretary general will be selected to assist him. The announcement comes after crunch talks earlier in the day with party floor leader Chung Jin-seok, who apologized to Kim for using inappropriate language and urged him to return to work. Last week, Kim had asked the committee to delay a vote on the lawmakers, but Chung pushed ahead with a plan to reinstate them, calling Kim's request a criminal act. The dispute revolves around 7 lawmakers who left the party after failing to win nominations for the April general election. They later ran as independents and won seats in the National Assembly. The conflict further divided members of the party's 2 main factions. The pro-Park Geun-hye faction was especially opposed to the reinstatement of former floor leader Yoo Seung-min, who was at the center of the factional dispute before the election because he was critical of the president. The members of the pro-Park faction plan to hold a meeting on Monday to address the factional dispute. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now staying with domestic politics, and Korea's 3 main political parties could be headed for another clash if their upcoming policy plans are any indication. The 3 parties on Sunday released statements on their priorities ahead of briefings to be delivered by each party at the National Assembly later on this Monday. The ruling Saenuri Party called for action on a bill that would institute a state-led childcare program and another outlining plans to restructure the country's shipping and shipbuilding industries. The main opposition Minju Party vowed to focus on the humidifier sterilizer scandal and getting a term extension for the Special Investigative Commission on the Sewol-ho ferry disaster. The minor opposition People's Party urged the ruling party to resolve its internal feud first in order to normalize parliamentary affairs. Now, it's emerged that the Islamic State militant group has its eyes on South Korea. The terror group has reportedly identified targets in Korea, including US military bases and 1 Korean citizen. For more on the list provided by the nation's top intel agency, Oh Jung-hee reports.
The Islamic State group has targeted Korea in an online post featuring the locations of U.S. Air Force facilities in Korea and the personal information of 1 Korean citizen. According to the National Intelligence Service on Sunday, the group used the messaging service Telegram to post the locations of 77 U.S. Air Force bases around the world and the personal information of 21 ordinary citizens. The list includes Google satellite maps and the websites of U.S. Air Force bases in the Korean cities of Osan and Gunsan, as well as the name, email address, and the physical address of a person who works at an unnamed Korean welfare organization. The NIS said the Islamic State's hacking group United Cyber Caliphate obtained the data by hacking websites and collecting information from the internet. The NIS told U.S. Forces Korea and the related institutions to be on alert for possible terrorist attacks and asked the police to protect the targeted citizen. The agency added that the Korean government will do all it can do to protect citizens through its government-wide counter-terrorism system. The threat comes after ISIS designated Korea as an ally of the forces fighting against it in September of last year and released a video that included a list of 20 Koreans early this year. Over the last 5 years, Korea has deported roughly 50 people with links to terrorist organizations and caught 2 Korean nationals who tried to join ISIS. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Police in Turkey are preparing to arrest 3 Turkish men who attacked a Korean-owned record store in Istanbul over the weekend. According to the Korean Consulate General in Istanbul, the police are planning to request an arrest warrant following a second investigation into the incident. The police said the attack was spontaneous and not specifically directed at Koreans. The news comes after around 20 Turkish men broke into the store last Friday night with pipes and bottles, angry that customers were drinking beer and listening to music during the holy month of Ramadan. A group of Radiohead fans was playing the music from the band's new album at the store to celebrate its release. Leave versus remain. It's a simple choice. The EU referendum campaign has resumed in Britain after a temporary suspension following the murder of Joe Cox, an MP for the main opposition Labour Party. As Brits carefully weigh their options, representatives from both sides have spoken out. Senior Leave campaigner Justice Secretary Michael Gove told the BBC that Brexit would help the UK establish itself as a progressive beacon to the world. Gove said the country faces challenges and risks either way, but it would be easier to tackle those once the UK has full control of its economic levers and its laws. Campaigning for Remain, Prime Minister David Cameron told the Sunday Telegraph that the vote was a watershed moment for the UK. He warned choosing to leave in Thursday's vote would be a big mistake that would lead to grave uncertainty. And staying with that vote, 2 new polls suggest people in Britain are leaning toward remaining in the European Union following the murder last Thursday of MP Joe Cox. According to a telephone survey conducted on Friday and Saturday by market research firm Cervical, 45% of respondents said they wanted Britain to stay in the EU, 42% said they wanted to leave. This is a turnaround from the results of the firm's previous poll released a day before Mrs. Cox's death. An online survey held by another research firm, YouGov, on Thursday and Friday also revealed 44% wanted to remain and 43% wanted to leave. The results also swung from YouGov's poll held last Monday, when the figure for those who supported Brexit was 7 percentage points higher. Back here in Korea, and prosecutors in Seoul are set to wrap up their 5-month investigation into the toxic humidifier disinfectants made by Reckitt Benckiser Korea, once known as Oxy. The investigative team says it's planning to press charges against roughly 20 people, including 12 who were already arrested on charges including professional negligence and false advertising. Officials at the parent company in Britain could not be summoned, but prosecutors will question them via email. The toxic chemical at the heart of what is arguably the worst consumer product scandal in Korea has left at least 140 dead and hundreds more affected since 2011. On a related note, the victims and their families have expressed discontent with Oxy's compensation plan, which they say is inadequate. Now, if you feel your eyes are fixated on monitors longer than the world around you, you may want to make some changes to your lifestyle. Korea's National Health Insurance Service says the number of people in Korea with cervical spine disorder has risen by 24% over the past 5 years. The spike has mainly been attributed to the widespread use of IT devices such as smartphones and tablet PCs, which leads to bad posture. The condition was most prevalent among people in their 50s, followed by those in their 40s and 60s. Doctors say in order to prevent the disorder, people should place their computer monitors or smartphones at eye level and stretch to relax tense muscles after several hours of use. Now, Myanmar is seen by many nations as having great potential to prosper, and South Korea is eager to help the country tap into that potential. For more on how Seoul's unique official development assistance program is making a difference there, Gwonswa reports.
These sounds of weaving come from looms operated by the hands of women neglected by society, who call this place, the Women Development Center, home. From the weaving workshop to a retail shop, where traditional attire, bed covers, and other items are sold. And these days, things are better than before. This as volunteers brought their professional methods from Korea, a part of the Korea International Cooperation Agency's aid program.
I'll still remember how happy we were when we saw the products actually being sold.
I believe I can make a living with the skills I learn here if I leave the center one day.
Another way of helping to foster independence, a large focus of Korea's official development assistance projects, can be seen in the passing on of Korea's 1970s Saemaul movement, or rural development model that's based on diligence, self-help, and cooperation.
Saemaul Undong is the bridge between poverty to prosperity.
Strong monsoon rain isn't stopping these residents in this Saemaul pilot village from constructing a drainage system, which is expected to eradicate daily difficulties, including in farming. Roughly 70% in Myanmar make a living through agriculture, as it accounts of 28% of production and 23% of exports.
Myanmar is abundant in vegetables and fruits like this mango. However, we don't know whether this fruit will get into the hands of customers at the market in this fresh form as of yet.
According to the country's agriculture ministry, up to 42% of products are lost due to hazards such as in packaging and preserving. To tackle those issues, KOICA took the initiative in establishing a post-harvest research institute in the capital Naypyidaw earlier this month.
The research results will lead to good quality products, raise competitiveness, and enhance the farmers' income and knowledge.
KOICA will provide almost $23.6 million worth of projects in Myanmar this year. By comparison, Japan's ODA amounts to roughly $200 million.
Although we cannot give as much aid as countries like the US, China, or Japan, we can deliver our development experience as we ourselves eradicated poverty and learn how to live well. That's our key strategy.
KOICA says while more aid goes into Vietnam as of now, soon Myanmar will rank on top, as the country is seen to have enough potential to outgrow its status as an emerging economy like Korea. Gwonswa, Arirang News, Naypyidaw.
Now, Korean researchers have recreated the face of a woman from the Shilla Dynasty using advanced technology. The digital reconstruction provides a window into the past and a glimpse of how people looked a long time ago. Park Se-young has the details.
These little pieces of bone form the shape of a skull. With a little technological magic, it turns into the face of a woman from the Shilla Dynasty 1500 years ago.
From the length of her thigh bone, we think she was about 155 centimeters tall and in her late 30s or early 40s.
It took the local researchers a year and a half and lots of digital technology to recreate the woman's face. First, they took CT scans of the bone fragments and created a virtual skull using 3D modeling techniques. Then, with the help of digital illustration, the researchers added virtual muscles and skin.
It is meaningful that we were able to observe and reproduce the face of a person from the Shilla period through an analysis of her skull.
The circumference of the woman's head is about 10% larger than the women of today, but her forehead is much smaller. Through isotope analysis, the researchers also found that the woman mainly consumed wheat, rice, and potatoes and did not eat much meat. They said because this is the first time the facial structure of a person from the Shilla era has been digitally reconstructed, more research is necessary before they can say this is how people looked during that period. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, the rainy season is due to start in Korea this week. On Monday, showers are forecast in southern regions, including Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsang-nam-do provinces, due to the influence of a seasonal band of rain. Up to 60 millimeters of precipitation is expected to fall on Korea's southern Jeju Island on this Monday. The rain is expected to spread nationwide by Tuesday evening. In Korea's central regions, hot and mostly dry conditions are forecast, with the daytime high peaking at 33 degrees Celsius. A word of warning, though: the National Institute of Environmental Research says most of the country will be under bad ozone, a key ingredient of urban smog. The only places expected to be relatively unaffected are Korea's southern and southwestern regions. Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday morning here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you, as always, for watching. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. So until then, goodbye.